Cheers, Vinyl Happy Hour fans. Thank you so much for watching this. If you haven't yet, be sure you're subscribed to our channel and hit the bell to get notifications about when we release new ones. Now we will get started. I have some really great stuff to show off tonight. These are all available at our store, Culture Shock Clothing and Records here in Rockford, Illinois, and on our website at cultureshockshop.com. Enjoying a little bit of my favorite Jameson, the Black Barrel. This is like kind of a special Jameson. It's only a couple bucks more than the regular, but really great thing because I'm getting some medicine. That's right, Foo Fighters, Medicine at Midnight. The reason we're showing this one off, it's been quite a few years actually since they had a new album, but the new album they did an indie store exclusive. So this is the indie store blue vinyl. Really great sounding album actually. I'll be honest, last couple of albums have been great, but nothing sensational. This album's pretty darn good actually. So the singles were pretty good from it, but the whole album, I really enjoy the sound of it actually. It's pretty fun, pretty good sounding rock album. Through and through, it's the right length too. I'm glad it's not a double LP. They did kind of a shorter album. I like the way they did it. The interesting artwork on there with the eye. One thing I noticed about the jacket too is it's kind of like purple on the inside. So that's pretty cool to see. Usually the inside of a jacket's just usually white. Sometimes I've seen a different color, but so that's kind of cool little detail. Got a printed inner sleeve. There's a little printout of the lyrics as well. Great sounding recording though, honestly. I mean, it definitely has gone a little bit more in the pop realm. I mean, it's still a great rock album. Let's be honest, there's not a ton of rock bands right now putting out big albums. So it's cool to see that Foo Fighters are still doing it this many years into it and still giving us great releases. It's a lot of fun, honestly, and there's a couple heavier rockers, but I definitely like they are mixing in a little more pop, like I said, and even a little bit of soul, and a couple different things I haven't really heard from them in the past. Shame Shame was the first single I heard, and there's also some kind of more melodic vocals kind of being added into it, but it has a great energy. So yeah, it's a cool album, and it's really cool that they did this limited indie store exclusive blue vinyl. So that's another thing we like to point out and bring to you every week when we do a video, is what's special about these releases, what's interesting about it. So I've been collecting record for a lot of years, and I get surprised all the time by what's coming out and what's going on in the record industry. My next one, although it's not an indie store exclusive per se, it is a limited color vinyl. And the other reason I'm talking about it, not only is it just getting released, but interesting enough, on one of the albums that some of these singles are off of, Dave Grohl actually played the drums for Killing Joke. They're one of his favorite bands. This band, if you haven't heard them before, have been very influential from even bands like Metallica all the way to Nirvana when Dave Grohl was with them. Killing Joke, English kind of post-punk band, let's just generalize it by that. Started in the 70s. Pretty influential, like I said, but a really interesting sound. This is their singles collection from a bunch of different albums going all the way from 79 to 2012. So they've had quite a few albums over the years, kind of hard to track down all of their albums. That's why it's really cool to see the singles collection come out. And as you can see, all 4 records are on different color vinyl. So they did yellow, red, black, and clear. It's 33 tracks in total. Let's see here. I think this War album, so Killing Joke, Loose Cannon, and Seeing Red, those 2 singles are the ones that Dave Grohl actually played drums on. It's kind of interesting about that album in general. They were going to have like kind of a collection of drummers play on that album, but they were going to have System of a Down, John and Danny Carey from Tool, and Dave Grohl. But Dave Grohl was in love with the album, and he said, if I'm doing this, I want to be the drummer on the whole album. So I'd love to feature that album sometime too. And he ended up drumming on the whole album. He even declined payment. He did it complimentary for the band. So that's pretty cool. Some of the stuff that you hear about Dave Grohl is pretty interesting to hear what he has to do. But anyway, back to this band, Killing Joke. Kind of a dark post-punk sound. I mean, I definitely compare them to even The Cure and Bauhaus and bands like that. Kind of more on the industrial side of kind of a darker punk sound. But since they do have so many albums, I love this collection. I also love that even though it's a box set kind of, it's just kind of a double gatefold. And 2 albums fit in each pocket. So I thought that was pretty cool. But I love the artwork here because each one of the 33 singles has like a little stamp that kind of coordinates to the album it came from or special artwork that was done for this. The other interesting thing is, I had a little insert here, oh yeah. So it's really cool to note that the band members and the labels that work together to make this happen. I also thought it was pretty funny that Killing Joke said, they wanted to have their music to be the sound of the earth vomiting, but that doesn't describe their sound at all. It's just kind of like a darker, grungier punk sound with a little bit of industrial and almost tribal rhythms. But these albums over the years were all on different labels and had different mixes and stuff like that. So I think a lot of work went into pouring over all of their singles, working with the different record labels to put together this set on one set. You've seen bands that do like greatest hits from whatever years from just a certain label, but this kind of covers their entire career. So some cool pictures too of the band. Nothing horribly interesting about the packaging. I almost like that it isn't a big overdone box set because, as you see, I don't have a lot of room in my record collection these days. So I can get all of their singles in this little half-inch jacket. So I thought that was a really cool release though. Great sounding album. I also worry when I see a greatest hits or singles compilation because if they are from different mixes, I hate when one song suddenly sounds different than the other, but it smoothly kind of transcends their whole career. So I thought they did a really nice job with that release. My next release to mention here is Steven Wilson's new album, The Future Bites. This is an indie store exclusive as well. Steven Wilson, if you're not familiar with his work, he has several solo albums. He had also been for probably a couple decades with the prog rock band Porcupine Tree. This is, I would say this is still prog rock, what he is doing. It's really kind of more refined, more interesting, and more, not interesting, but more poppy, more approachable, I would say. And this is on really nice, thick, dark red vinyl. This is kind of a slipcase that comes over. And it's very interesting artwork because it seems very like you're opening a spy decoder or something like that. It does spell out Steven Wilson, The Future Bites, mixed with numbers and letters. Great sounding recording. This guy is an audiophile master, by the way. If you're not familiar with him, he has actually gone back and gotten to the masters and done remasterings and reissues of the bands like Gentle Giant, Genesis, I think, Jethro Tull. So bands like that, he's a huge connoisseur of. And he's kind of this modern wave of like this prog revival, I feel. Porcupine Tree, I'll be honest, they were a little bit ahead of my time. I wasn't ready for them. But now I love some of their albums. It kind of falls into the category of between Pink Floyd and Tool and some of that stuff, and more classic prog too. But this album, if you, like I said, if you haven't gotten into any of his other works, I would jump in with this one. It's not very dark like a couple of his previous solo albums. It does have darker edges, but the recording quality is just impeccable. The strings, the piano, just everything, and the singing even. It does have some darker spots, but it's more melodic and more interesting. But really nice, thick gatefold. It's also kind of cynical in a way. I love the booklet that comes with it because it's got like these fake things for sale. To die, one must ignore facts. So it's very kind of interesting. And inside you've got lyrics to the whole album as well. But then you also have like this can that's for sale of like Arctic air with 100 doses of fresh Arctic air. It's like 100 pounds or something like that. And there's like earplugs for sale. And they're like, it's very English. So everything's in pounds. Everything's, you know, this is even an import album. There's like a piece of cork bar for sale. But I thought it was pretty interesting, kind of novel. But really cool gatefold. Cool gatefold, cool jacket, cool inserts. The vinyl's pressed excellently. It's cool color. It's pretty nice to see some of these bands, even of this size. I've seen a lot of smaller bands doing limited indie store releases. But to see like Steven Wilson and the Foo Fighters doing that and having stuff available at independent stores is pretty amazing. So definitely give all those guys a listen. I love the artist there. I just have a couple other things I want to mention because vinyl's really finicky, really funny. It's funny what kind of comes in and goes out. I think like those indie store releases are probably already sold out from the suppliers, manufacturers. We have quite a few copies of both of those available in store. We can't reorder them though. So that's what's interesting to be on the kind of weekly update or something like that, or a reason to subscribe to our channel to find out about these releases when they are available. Because when you find out after the fact, sometimes they're already sold out. So you can even reserve for in-store pickup or shipping at cultureshockshop.com, or just stop in the store when we're open right away. Here's kind of an interesting story because this is the All-American Badass album from Joey Badass. This came out in 2017. I feel like he's kind of an underappreciated modern rapper too. he should be, I feel like, being thrown around, and I don't see him in a lot of people's collections. If you have, like, you know, J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar, some of those artists, he's just a great artist, I think. But this one came out in 2017. We had a bunch of copies sold out of them, and I just assumed we'd order more, but for some reason, they just disappeared. Nobody had them. None of our suppliers had them. And I noticed online, I just see flippers and resellers selling it for like $100, and I was like, what the heck? Why didn't I grab that? And there's also some guest appearances if you haven't heard this. J. Cole is actually on here, Schoolboy Q, Chronics. He had gone on tour with Logic, I think, when this came out. I'd never seen him live, but it's great packaging, great artwork, great lyrics. I mean, very kind of very political feeling album. Even though it has some trap beats and stuff like that, he's a Brooklyn guy, and it has a really great production level. And great lyrics. You can understand what he is saying. And honestly, with most of my hip hop and metal, I don't really care about lyrics, so I don't care if I don't understand them. After first two, I was like, what's up with this insert? It's like the same artwork, but it's kind of cool because it does piece together. So if you want to see more of the artwork from the front cover, it's cool, him with that kind of like Mad Max style looking Mustang, ratted out Mustang with the custom flag there. Just black vinyl, but it's finally available randomly again. It still has the sticker on it too from when it came out saying introducing, or, you know, his new album, even though it's like 4 years old. So I don't understand what happens even though I've been a collector of vinyl for almost, you know, 25, 30 years, and I've had a store now for 15 years almost. It's weird. That's why being a regular at your local record store, I think, or picking up things at regular retail price is fun. I was almost ready to buy this from someone on a resale market or something like that and pay overpriced for it. But luckily, they randomly kind of popped back in. But I would say he was definitely, you know, he's very kind of, like I said, on this kind of heated political edge, talking about kind of separation going on in America and stuff like that before it has become so heated again. You know, he was kind of talking about that quite a few years before a lot of other people. But even just for the music, it's just a great album. It's a kicking album. Seems like a really great dude. But yeah, like I said, hey, it's back in stock randomly. I don't know why. I don't know where it went. I don't know if there was a royalties issue or something with the record label, something like that. But keep your eye out for things like that. I have noticed a lot of albums, as soon as they kind of go out of print, people start reselling on all these websites and things like that for high prices. And that's something that almost happened with another one. The Weeknd. This is from his first kind of trilogy. This is the House of Balloons. And this is kind of part of his, I think it was 2011 or 2012 when this came out. This is kind of before we all knew him, before he had Album of the Year, and before his hair was all wicked crazy and stuff like that. He dropped some mixtapes, kind of like a three chronological piece mixtape, and then released them with extra tracks on vinyl. And it's funny because I was just talking with Lauren about this the other day. I was like, I kind of should have hung on to those because now I've really gotten to like him. This kind of modern kind of hip-hop soul mix. I wasn't really quite into yet when it had first come out, and we sold out of these, and they actually didn't sell us. Talking about how they didn't sell when we had them at the store when they first came out. It's just sad. And then I noticed the other day, you know, we've been out of them for years, that people were selling for like $100, $150, like crazy prices, you know. And I was like, dang, I should have hung on to those, you know. But this just randomly, I don't know if like our music distributor or suppliers cleared out their warehouse or updated and found more, if they're printing them again. I have no idea what happens in the vinyl world. It's still kind of confusing. You know, I try to keep a good grip on it all, what's going on, you know what I mean? I'm kind of always reordering, restocking, and reading up and trying to get in interesting things. We do a lot of importing too. We get a lot of stuff from overseas, a lot of independent record labels. But it's funny when an artist just suddenly kind of just, their stuff clears out or isn't available, and then prices start jacking up sky high. So we try to keep everything as affordable as possible, of course, and try to give fresh things coming in every week. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You should see how much great new vinyl and reissues of older artists are coming into the store and are up on our site right now. So we just want to do like a short deep dive in, give you a little look on them, see what's interesting about it. Great packaging and great artwork with a lot of these too. It's funny because you get an album like this and you really get into it when you're playing it on vinyl, and it's just interesting. I noticed I'd never seen this before in an album before. I got to figure out what the heck this means. Inside the gatefold, it's printed on the inside of the gatefold. It says like, it looks like WHLGN. Wolgen? I don't know, man. I got to look that up and see what that is. Is that some sort of little thing you're supposed to notice? I don't know. I got to figure it out. So if you know what that means, drop me a comment. I'd like to know. I'm going to figure out what the heck that means. So It's pretty interesting, all the little details that go into the packaging and the recording process to make these albums sound so good. So please keep spinning those records, enjoying your music. We're getting in new releases every single Friday and restocking any albums that we can. Enjoy your music though, and please keep checking out our videos. Check out our previous ones if you haven't yet, and we look forward to doing many more. All right, we'll see you soon. Cheers.